All right, so Rocky 2 is obviously the sequel to the original Rocky. And I think that this movie is just as good as the original. Now, some people do think that Rocky 2 is a big step down from the original. I don't think it's nearly as good as the original movie, but I think this is still a very, very good sports movie and a very, very good movie in general. The good things from this movie are that everybody from the original cast does an absolutely phenomenal job, and they're all back in their same roles here. Sylvester Stallone is obviously one of the greatest actors of all time, and Talia Shire, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She is the woman that portrays Adrian in this movie, and she's the actress that portrays her. She does an amazing job. Their chemistry is just as good as the original, and all the supporting characters, they do just as well of a job as they did in the first Rocky. Another thing that is, I think, even better than the original is the adversity Rocky has to go through. Now, obviously, Adrian has a lot to go through in this movie. She gets pregnant, she goes in a coma, and they're fighting kind of throughout the whole movie on whether Rocky should continue, this fighting style of life, because it might not be good for their family. But, at the end of the day, if you don't have adversity in your sports movie, I'm not going to say it's going to be like a bad movie, but you need good adversity for a good sports movie to happen. Another thing I think is really good in this movie are the iconic scenes. Now, obviously, the first one has a ton of iconic scenes, but this movie has just as much. I think the one where he's running up the stairs in Philadelphia, you can see the skyline. I think that might be just as iconic in the second film with all the kids chasing him. I mean, that is iconic. Where he's running through the market. Again, absolutely iconic in the second one. I think that the fight at the end might be even better and more iconic than the first one. Obviously, they have more, they know how to do some of the stunts more, and so they're more experienced in this fight than they were in the last one. So for my last positives with this movie is I really like how much you get to learn about the character of Rocky when he's in a really tough place. This shows how much his character cares about other people, his friends, his family. Now, obviously, Rocky is in a very, very hard time financially, physically, and mentally after the first fight with Apollo. He spends all his money, and, you see that he cares about his family and friends so much that he has to go get a normal job again, even after he became this celebrity in Philadelphia. It's just a really good way of showing how much the character of Rocky Balboa cares about the people around him. And I think this movie does a great job at showing that. And I just feel like it's just one of the things that makes the character of Rocky so great is that, not only does he care about, the ones around him, his family, his friends, he wants to make sure that they're all taken care of. And I think it's something that, these movies do so good with all of them. So for the things I don't like about this movie, there's really only two things. The first one being, I don't know why Rocky can't read throughout this movie. It's just kind of a weird thing that happens, and I'm just like, that's kind of weird that they put that in there. It's not a big problem. It's just kind of a nitpick by me. I just never knew why they added that in there. And for my second problem, I would say this movie isn't really original. It takes a lot of inspiration from the first movie, which, like I said, it is an absolutely amazing movie, but it just seems like they're kind of just redoing a lot from the first movie. You see Rocky in a very bad place, in a very rough place in the first movie, and so he has to get himself back out of it, and he does fight the same exact person by the end of the film. The only difference with this movie is that he starts the movie at a really high place, and then he gets himself, and it just happens to be that he goes into a very rough place, and he has to get himself out of it. But besides those two problems with this film is absolutely amazing. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. This is an absolutely amazing sequel to a classic film.